Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, as we are preparing to get underway for the 4th out of 5 races for FEC's IROC Championship. Before we get too deep into anything, I want to go ahead and go over the championship point scenario as it is right now. Because after last week's event at Eagle Rock, including track Rossif's disconnect, the unexpected fights throughout the very front of the field, and everything else, the championship fight has gone absolutely wild. So we'll start at the bottom. In 18th place is KRL. He only has 3 points. 17th is Pointy Scroll with only 4 points. 16th is SDR Dremore with only 5 points. 15th in points is, it's 14th in points actually, is Amish Gaming with 10. He is tied with Claiming Race, who also has 10. 13th and 12th are both tied in points. Well, 12th and 11th are both tied in points. They have 12 points each. Then 10th and 9th between Potato and Pindaz are both tied with 13 points each. Then you get to a jump. Nismo is still in championship contention, but is an extreme outside championship contention in 8th. He has 20 points. Just ahead of him in 7th is NFL Racer 4812. He is also barely in championship contention, way down with 21 points at this stage of the season. 6th place in the championship is Scored Buffalo with 33 points. He missed the season opener event, but he is still here. He is still running with us in today's event, and after finishing 4th at Homestead and winning at Eagle Rock, he is right on the edge of this championship fight. And then we get to the wild stuff. The top 5 in points are all separated by only 2 points. 5th place is PTG Neb, who is likely not going to be able to join us for tonight's event. He has 38 points on the season. 5th place is Maybe Racing. He has 39 points on the season. And then Dino Prime 77, SRD Shredder, and Jack Broseph all are tied at the top of the point standings. All 3 of those drivers have 40 points each, 4-0. So Armstrong, Dino, and Shredder all tied with 40 points each, and Maybe Racing 1 point behind them. Neb is not anticipated to run today, and then you have Scored Buffalo, who is 7 points out of the championship lead. We're looking at a slightly smaller field than normal tonight, so no, a lot of the other races this season, we've been looking at relatively big fields, about 12 to 16 cars. Today, we're expecting the field size to drop down to about 11 or so. Real quickly, a quick look down. We have Maybe Racing, who's going to be in it today, as well SRD Shredder. So will Pointy Scroll, Nito Gamer 05, NFL Racer 4812, Neesmorphed is back, Pindaz is still here. He is the series host. King Racing Leo is back. Thomas 086R is back. Scored Buffalo is back. And Dino Prime 77 is here as well. Not sure what the issue may end up being for Jack Broseph. I do not see him being represented here, although they may be waiting on him to join. We will get to that a little bit later. But again, the big focus has been the championship fight. The top 5 coming into this race, all separated by only 2 points, with a 3-way tie at the very head of the championship. Now again, we know PTG Neb is going to drop out of this. We're also a little bit interested to see how they are going to organize the back of the grid. These IROC races, the field size is determined by inverting the Drivers' Championship points. Again, there is no Teams Championship, no manufacturers, nothing like that. It's Drivers' Championship only. If you're going to invert those points, the question becomes, how exactly are you going to order the rear of the grid today? There have been a handful of other people who said they were interested in running, but it does not look like they will be able to join us. So again, we're looking at 11, maybe 12 car field for tonight's event here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as we are currently in a bit of a holding pattern, waiting to get underway for the race. While we are in this holding pattern, we're going to go ahead and knock out a Twitch mandated ad break, and when we come back, hopefully we'll be able to start going green. I'm trying to knock out Twitch ad breaks nice and early in the stream, so if we get a long green flag run in the earlier mid parts of the race, we don't have to cut into it midway through. We'll be back shortly here at Indianapolis, preparing to get racing at the oldest super speedway in the world. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Indianapolis as we are still standing by, waiting to get underway. Jack Brosov has now joined us, so we are guaranteed that our top 4 drivers, who all only have 1 point between them, coming into this race, are all going to be running today. Keep a particular eye on Jack Brosov. Remember, he is the driver who organized this event. He is the one who chose the car, did the majority of the tuning. He won the season opening race, while not in dominant fashion because of the way the draft worked. He was easily the strongest driver all day long back at Sunset. At Miami, he was similarly strong, but got into it with some other people, tried to muster a charge back, but could not crack the top 2 positions. He was dominating at Eagle Rock last week before he had a disconnect. Come to find out, it was not an internet disconnect, it was a controller disconnect. He accidentally leaned over in a bad way and it disconnected his controller. We know that he is the fastest person out of everyone here in these cars. Scored Buffalo has been the only person who's been able to keep him somewhat honest. But again, the big thing that must be remembered, he's designed these cars. He has more times with these cars than anything else. Typically, Jack, who is normally a mid to rear driver in most IFEA and FEC events, is seriously getting his shot to fight with the normal championship contending drivers of Scored Buffalo and maybe racing. He's going to try and make it for all its work. But again, he is going to be starting near the rear of the grid. Scored Buffalo, who is still 7 points out, he is down in 6 points coming into this race. He's still going to start about a row or 2 ahead of him at the beginning of this event. So Scored can make his way through the field nice and quickly. He'll have a really good shot at getting underway. We should be getting underway momentarily here as almost everyone has readied up. We are still waiting a little bit on Thomas to ready up, but after that, we should see them begin to load onto the circuit proper. Today's event is anticipated to be another single stop event. Once more, the tires are going to last an entire fuel tank with no issues. The big question is going to be, how many yellow flags are we going to get? The first 3 races, we all had accidents in the opening laps that really slowed the pace early on, and then the race opened up into longer green flag runs in the middle to end stages. At Sunset, we had a few yellows late-ish in the race that kept everyone bounced up. At Miami, we had a very long green flag run to the checkers. At Sunset, at Eagle Rock, the green flag run was smack in the middle of the race, and then we had a yellow late that kind of bunched everything back up there. So again, we don't really know how it's going to happen, but it is likely we will see a long green flag run at some point in the event, as now we'll see them begin to order up the grid here. All right, so as you can see, the starting grid for today's event, which will have 12 cars, the same size as a traditional IROC event. The field is going to have 12 cars, and it will be Nito Gamer, who is last in the championship right now, who will be starting on the pole position. Second place will be Keen Racing Leo 01. Third place, by the looks of it, will be Pointy Scroll 132. We know that we will see Thomas 086R. He will be 4th. He'll be the second car on the outside row in today's event. After that, you will have Pindaz, who will be 3rd. The 3rd car on the inside. Then Niesmorph will be the 3rd car on the outside row. Then you have NFL Racer. At this point, you start getting into the proper championship contenders, although Niesmorph and NFL are likely going to get eliminated unless one of the 2 of them win races today. Niesmorph starting 6th, NFL 7th. Then you have Scored Buffalo in 8th, maybe racing 9th, and then Shredder, Dino, and Jack, all 3 of them tied at the points. They are all going to be starting in the last 3 positions in this event as we are preparing to get underway as the cars are beginning to load onto the circuit proper here. One other forewarning that had been given to me privately by one of the drivers is that there may be a significant risk of a car, if we have green flag pit stops, there is a significant risk that we may see drivers crashing coming out of pits. Drivers are required to take the normal pit lane exit all around the infield of turns 1 and 2. The word I've heard is that there is a significant chance that the car may step out. It is extremely loose on cold tires with a heavy fuel load on that flat pit lane exit. So that is going to be something we'll want to keep an eye on a little bit later in the event here. 2.5 mile track, but this is not going to race the same as Sunset, the season opener, or Daytona, which is next week's finale. As we're just seeing Nito Gamer beginning to roll forward now. And the entire field is going to be following him. So it looks like the decision is going to be that Jack Broseph will be credited as the absolute points leader, likely as he is one of the 2 drivers in that title fight at the head of the field that has won a race, and he won his race earlier than Dino did. So that is likely why they're giving him the last place starting position for this event. On his inside will be Dino Prime 77, then right ahead of Jack will be SRD Shredder, then maybe Racing will be on the inside of the next to last row. Then you'll have Scored Buffalo. He's going to be on the outside in the 3rd to last row, so he'll be on the outside of the 4th row in the event today. So just keep an eye on that. Oh, have we already had an incident? Yeah, we already had an incident as NFL got ran into there by Knees Morphed. No damage. He'll be able to continue, should be able to recover his position without too much issue, but a little bit of chaos right off the bat. Okay, and now enough talk about the championship. That will naturally play out as the event goes on. We're going to turn our focus now once again to our lead group. They've got 2 drivers here at the front, Nito Gamer 05 and King Racing Leo 01. Then Pointy Scroll in the inside of row 2. Keep an eye on these 3. These 3 drivers have not had a great time of it. They've not been able to attend all the races. They've not had great runs when they have attended. They'd love to start turning things around here. This would be a fantastic chance for them to do so, as they are now rolling down through the final corner here at Indianapolis. We'll be looking at 56 laps. Fuel tank is anticipated to be about 30 laps or so. So if you can get in and make your pit stop around lap 25, 26, 27, and put in a full fuel tank, you should be good to the end if we have a long green flag run to the checkers here. Coming out of the final corner this time, the entire field is doubled up, and we should see them accelerating momentarily. You'll hear them likely before you see them. And we're off at Indianapolis, and Nito gets a shove from behind by Pointy Scroll, and now Pointy immediately looks to the inside, but Neil's going to have a nice wider line. They're already 3 and 4 wide behind, and Thomas goes to the outside wall. In turn 1, immediately Thomas is turned into the outside wall. Lap 1, turn 1, and the car is destroyed. An immediate accident, and already Scored Buffalo has moved up into the 4th position. Maybe Racing is already in the 5th position. Dino's moved up to 8th. Jack is in 9th, so they both have already cleared Shredder as well. Scored now gets to the inside. King Racing Leo. Pointy Scroll is fighting with Knees Morph. Pointy to the inside. Neo's a little bit wide. And now we're going to start backing it down for the yellow flag after that gigantic hit that Thomas took back there. So this is likely going to be a bit of a long yellow flag. We're going to go ahead and knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break while we are under this prolonged yellow flag period. When we come back, hopefully we will see the field prepare to line up for a green flag start here at Indianapolis. Excuse me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are still under the yellow flag after a lap 1, turn 1 accident when Thomas 086R was hooked and turned into the outside wall right in the very first corner of the race. Nito Gamer is your leader. Shredder was allowed to break away from the field, rush ahead to try and give Thomas 086R a push down the back straightaway and through the corner so he could get into the pit lane. The idea is that Thomas would be able to stay on the lead lap, and they wouldn't have to waste an entire extra lap trying to get him back on the lead lap, but we'll see Shredder retake his actual position on track. So thus far, with only just about half a lap of racing, Scored Buffalo has gone from 8th to 3rd. Maybe Racing has gone from 9th to 5th. Both Dino and Jack have moved up from the last row up to 8th and 9th. SRD Shredder has actually not really gained any positions early on here. That is your position of your 5 primary championship contenders. Again, with PTG Neb not attending, even though he was only 2 points out coming into this event, he was not able to attend today's race. More than likely, he will be eliminated from title contention after today's event is over. It is Nito Gamer and Pointy Scroll who have been fighting at the head of this field. King Racing Leo had started up there, but already had lost a spot to Scored Buffalo. It's likely we'll see him lose even more. Thomas 086R is just rushing around right now, hoping that he'll be able to catch up to the rear of the grid. He will have a full fuel tank and brand new tires on the car after this. Not really concerned about the fuel or tire wear. Again, we really only did about half a lap under green flag circumstances. Everything else has been under the yellow flag thus far. If we have enough yellow early in the event, you might be able to do one of two things. You could either pit at the normal time the pit window opens, jump in, go ahead and knock out some, jump in, go ahead, knock out your pit stop at a normal planned time, but put less fuel in the car because you already have more fuel in it. Or you could stay out a little bit longer and hope that you'll end up in a good position by putting less fuel in the car later, basically having a lighter car for a longer period of time. With the fact that the tires don't really seem to be falling off too much in these cars, that may be the way to go. We may see drivers intentionally pushing off their final pit stop as late as possible if they think we have a long green flag run and the chance of another yellow is minimal. All right, the entire field has now gathered up as we are coming back to the green flag once again. The attempt number 2, but this time Scored Buffalo is going to be right in the midst of the fight at the front. Keep an eye on him. He is trying to make his way up from missing the first race of the season to be back in the title fight. And we're off. Scored's trying to give a little bit of a push there to that FedEx machine. They're still side by side for a lead there. They are 3 wide farther back. A bit of a twitch, bit of a shake there. Jack very nearly gets turned near the rear of the grid, but they finally have gotten through the corner at full speed. SRD Shredder has now fallen to last position on track, but he's going to come to the inside and try and make it 3 wide at the rear of the grid. He is going to go below the normal track limits just to try and avoid contact. Neesmorph has already fallen off the back of the grid now. Dino is making moves up the grid now. He's going to try and work the long way around NFL Racer. Immediately that fails. He's going to go into the outside wall. He's not the only one. That's King Racing Leo who went into the outside wall as well there. And now SRD Shredder gaining a bunch of position, and again, you see King Racing Leo up into the outside wall. Thomas is already stuck near the rear of the grid, but we have somehow made it the entire lap around with no accidents this time. And now here comes Scored Buffalo. He's got a run on Pointy Scroll. He looks to the inside, side by side between these two cars, and Scored Buffalo will clear Pointy Scroll, but the car washes out wide in turn 1 immediately. And he's going to lose the position of Pointy Scroll. Now here comes maybe back to the inside Scored Buffalo. And this is the big thing. Traditionally, maybe Racing is slower than Scored Buffalo in races, but Scored Buffalo is not an oval racer. He almost never does normal oval racing in anything. He is almost exclusively a road course racer. Maybe will race anything, on the other hand. Maybe knows exactly how to do this. He has years and years of experience that Scored has willingly not partaken in. We're starting to see a 4-car breakaway with Nito, maybe Pointy Scroll, and Scored Buffalo. Jack Broseph has already moved up to 5th. He is leading the pack of cars a little bit further back. Pointy getting to the inside and maybe Racing. They'll be side by side for the second position as they go down the front straightaway here. They are 3 wide farther back. SRD Shredder very nearly wrecks going down the front straightaway as now he is trying to make his way up to the field. But we have a 4-car breakaway at the head of the grid. Right now, Pony Squirrel is going to pull back in front of Maybe Racing, but Maybe's going to cross him over on the turn 1 exit. Now he clears Pony Squirrel. Scored Buffalo is going to try and follow suit as they go into turn number 2, but you can see Scored hating that rear end down a bit. Scored's really sliding wide, gets touched there by Pointy. Now Pointy's got the draft. He's going to look to the inside. Will he try and make a dive bomb on Scored going down into turn number 3? It does not look like that's going to be the case. Not this time, at least. Scored moves down just a bit to try and cover off Pointy, and Pointy gets really sideways in the arrow wake. He's completely sideways as they go to turn 3. He's still sideways to come to turn 4. He's around. He's into the outside wall. No one else will hit him. Everyone will get by. Is Pony Squirrel have any damage? The car is destroyed. The engine is still functioning, but everything aerodynamically on the car is completely toasted. And now Nito is still leading, but Maybe Racing has already caught him. Just about nose to tail, but now we see the gap open up a little bit. Nito goes really aggressively into the corner. He hits the outside wall, and coming out of turn number 1, Maybe he's going to sail by with no problem whatsoever as Nito self-inflicted a wound, going way too aggressively, going through turn number 1. He's going to go from leading by about 3/10 to being behind by about 4/10 in less than half a lap. And now Scored Buffalo has Nito's draft as they go down the back straightaway and come up into turn 3 once again. SRD Shredder has now moved his way up into the 4th position, just ahead of Jack Broseph and Dino Prime. So, our 5 championship contenders are now 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th on track right now. Nito is the wild card here, but Nito has a really bad run in turn number 4. He's incredibly slow. Here comes Scored Buffalo to the extreme inside. He's going to go all the way to the extreme inside, so he doesn't have to deal with a side draft. He'll clear Nito well before they even get to the start-finish line. Scored Buffalo now moves up into the 2nd position. Traffic coming out. That is Pony Squirrel coming out onto the circuit just a little bit behind this lead pack here. He shouldn't be too much of an issue for the leaders. Oh! Pony Squirrel's off circuit again. So like we were talking about earlier, pitting under the green flag, you run a high risk of wrecking the car as the car just does not have the stability at that low speed that we were anticipating it would. All right, and now they fire it off once again. Through turns 3 and 4, Scored Buffalo looks at Maybe Racing up the road, who's about 8/10 up the road. So Scored is just barely outside of drafting range right now of Maybe Racing. Nito is still within drafting range of Scored Buffalo. If Nito can just stay off the wall a few laps and get some good runs on the straight, he can still put a good fight up against Scored Buffalo. The big thing, though, is that if they spend too much time fighting, they're going to drag SRD Shredder up in the fray. Jack Broseph and Dino Prime, the drivers who won the first 2 races this season, are still fighting here for 5th and 6th. An NFL racer who is still an outside championship contender is running just behind them as well at the moment. We ride on board with NFL Racer as he looks at these two go at it. Dino's trying to take a higher line. Jack's trying to take a more traditional tight inside line. NFL looked to the extreme inside. The line wasn't there. He fell back in line behind as they go down the back straightaway this time. Side by side farther up, that is SRD Shredder looking at Nito and Scored. Nito on the inside, Scored on the outside, but Scored's going to try the crossover move that he saw maybe pull on Nito earlier. Could not make it stick in turn 3 there. Nito still holds on to 2nd, but Scored pulls up right behind Nito's rear wing here. Right behind the rear spoiler. They're going to be in a dead nose-to-tail run. Now down the back straightaway, Scored has the massive draft advantage. This should be an easy overtake, you would think, between these two. But as these two have been fighting, Maybe has now opened up a gap of about a 2nd and a 3rd on this duo. Scored has now completed the overtake on Nito. Nito hits the inside curb just a bit, slides wide, but he will keep it out of the turn 1 and 2 wall. Going through the short strip, he's good. Now he's the one who gets a run on Scored Buffalo. Buffalo slides wide. Buffalo just barely licks the outside wall coming out of turn number 2. Nito now has a run on the inside, and SRD Shredder is now the one coming down, closing down on this duo. We ride on board with SRD Shredder as Nito completes the overtake. He gets back in front of Scored Buffalo as they go into turn number 3. They all have to get way off the throttle for a prolonged period of time going through the next few corners. And for the moment, it looks like Maybe is vanishing off into the distance. Nito is doing his best to keep Scored Buffalo behind him. Now they come onto the front straight again. Once again, the draft is in Scored's favor. Scored's going to pull to the inside, side by side for the 2nd position again. Nito outside, Scored on the inside. And this time, Scored slides up at the last possible moment. Nito is going to be caught off guard. He slides wide. That gives SRD Shredder a chance to strike. Shredder looks to the inside. Scored hits the outside wall coming out of turn number 1. There's 3 ways to go into turn number 2. But Scored has lost all the momentum. He now falls to 4th 4th position. SRD Shredder is going to be side by side with Nito as they come onto the back straightaway. Side by side between SRD and Shredder and Nito Gaming as they go down the back straightaway. They're in a dead heat as they fire it down in turn number 3. Shredder should have the advantage. He has the traditional inside line though. Side by side, Nito's car immediately slides wide as they go into turn number 3. He falls back in line behind SRD Shredder, but he's bled off a bunch of speed. That's going to let Scored Buffalo get right behind Nito Gamer all over again. Scored and Nito still fight with each other, but Shredder has gotten by both of them without too much issue. Scored Buffalo now once again behind Nito as they go down the front straightaway. He's got a big draft on that purple machine. Is he going to try and make a move going into turn 1 this time? Not this time. He'll stay in line behind. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are all nose to tail as they go through turn number 1. Nito goes really, really deep, puts the tires right on the inside curb, but he's able to keep the car off the wall. They're all still nose to tail as they go through turn number 2 now. Scored slides a little bit wide, dealing with the aero weight from those 2 cars ahead. Nito has a run on SRD Shredder. Maybe Racing has pulled out a 2.5 second gap on this 3-way fight for 2nd position now. Nito to the inside of SRD Shredder. Shredder's going to be trapped on the outside. Scored Buffalo is setting himself up for a big run through turn number 3. Shredder's going to cross Nito back over in the middle of turn 3. And he's going to nearly turn himself off of Nito's front bumper as he completes the overtake. Now Scored gets back to the inside of Nito, but Scored's going to take a little bit too much inside line. The car steps out wide. He almost hits the outside wall coming out of turn number 4. SRD Shredder still in 2nd position. Nito is running right behind him. They are just about nose to tail as they go down the front straightaway. Nito takes a peek to the inside going into turn number 1, but he's not going to make the move. Not this time. All of them going not quite nose to tail through turn number 1. Nito again puts that car on the inside curb. He almost hits the outside wall. The car steps out on him. Now let's Scored Buffalo pulls right back up behind Nito. Nito slides wide again in turn number 2. SRD Shredder just ahead. He's giving both these cars a big toe. Nito and Scored side by side, neck and neck as they go down the back straightaway for the 3rd position. Nito has a draft on SRD Shredder. He gets the car right on SRD Shredder's rear bumper. Nito has to back out going as they go into turn 3. Scored Buffalo finally clears Nito. Now Scored is the one behind SRD Shredder. Scored runs right behind SRD Shredder. Shredder leaves half the lane open. Now shuts the half lane down halfway through turn number 4. It causes Scored Buffalo car to bobble as he had to deal with the change in the aerodynamic properties. And now he falls right behind SRD Shredder. He has a draft, but he doesn't have a big run on him as it comes down to turn number 1 this time. Once again, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all nose to tail just about perfectly, but this time it's Scored Buffalo who is 2nd in the line. He steps out a little bit wide in turn number 1. He's going to keep the car off the wall in the short chute between 1 and 2. Scored is a little bit slow as they enter turn 2 though. He is going to give Nito a chance to maybe get a run on Scored, but Scored has a draft on SRD Shredder. He'll use the extra speed from the draft on the Shredder's car as a defense against Nito. Nito cannot do anything to Scored. Scored's going to pull up right behind SRD Shredder, just about nose to tail as they fire off into turn number 3 once again. Still just about nose to tail. Scored looking about a 1/3 of a lane high or a 1/3 of a lane low, depending on what corner it is. This time as they go through turn number 4, Scored is about a 1/3 of a lane up the track. He really tries to hurt the car down as they come out of the corner. Farther back, there is another fight going on between Jack, Dino, and NFL Racer. But while those 3 are all fighting, they're losing touch with this trio here of Shredder, Scored, and Nito. Nito is really showing that his season has just been unlucky. It's not that he does not have confidence. He's just showing that he is not lucky. All of your championship contenders are in the top 7 positions except for this man here. Nito is not a championship contender, but he is running with legitimate title contenders right now. The other wild thing to consider as well is that while these drivers are all fighting, they are slowly reeling in. Maybe Racing, Maybe's gap over 2nd position has now dropped to 1.6 seconds. It was up to 2.5 seconds. Now it's just a little bit over a 1.5 seconds. Going through 3 and 4 once again, SRD Shredder leads Scored Buffalo, who leads Nito Gamer. I have to wonder if Shredder, Scored, and Nito have all figured out that they all just run nose to tail. They will be a little bit faster than Maybe, who is running completely solo right now. But this time Scored has a really bad run of it as they came through turns 3 and 4. He's going to lose a big chunk of time to SRD Shredder. Nito pulls right up behind Scored once again, but he's not going to make a move. I think 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are all actively working together, trying to do some draft shenanigans to run down on your leader right now. There is some other stuff going on. Real quickly, I want to talk about this fight farther back. This is between Jack Broseph, Dino Prime, and NFL Racer 4812. 2 of the drivers who are leading the points coming in, and NFL, who is the extreme outlier. Dino falls into 7th behind NFL. Jack now moves up into the 5th position. These 3 continue to swap their positions back and forth throughout this run here. If you've just joined us, we are in for a wild event right now. We had 1 accident right away, lap 1, turn 1, but since then we have been green. And while the field is spraying out near the rear, we are having 2 sets of 3 car packs that have formed. One pack, which is second, third, and fourth, are all starting to spread out and starting to lose each other, though. But this group here, 5th, 6th, and 7th, they're all still on top of each other. Right now, though, is Jack Broseph, who leads NFL Racer, and just behind NFL Racer is Donald Prime 77. All three of these cars take a slightly different line as they go through turn number 1. NFL is really high. Jack's wide. Jack's wide as they go into turn number 2. Jack's going to fall back to 3rd in this low group. So Jack goes from 5th to 7th in turn number 2. Now NFL and Dino will be side by side as they go down the back straightaway. And I look farther up the grid. Nito has now lost the draft on Shredder and Scored. So Shredder and Scored are now just going to try and make their way back up to Maybe. Just the two of them. So it will be a 2-card tango there, trying to run down Maybe, who is riding completely solo, does not have to worry about anyone else. Already, though, Maybe is starting to pull a gap again on SRD Shredder. The gap that he has pulled on Shredder is now 1.8 seconds. Dino in 5th, NFL 6th, Jack in 7th. They're all perfectly nose to tail, just about bumper to bumper between these trios. They go across the start-finish line, firing off now into turn number 1 again. Jack backs off nice and early, make sure he has a gap on them. NFL charges really deep into the corner, hits that inside curb. He goes wide, but in the arrow wake of NFL's car, Jack follows him, and he ends up going even higher. He hit the wall in the short chute between 1 and 2. Now they come out of turn number 2. NFL trying to get a draft off of Dino. Jack is right behind NFL. He gives NFL a bit of a shove down the straightaway, trying to push NFL to run back down on Dino here. NFL slides just a little bit as they go into turn number 3. He's close enough to still get a draft. Meanwhile, farther up here for the second position, I think SRD Shredder and Scored Buffalo are kind of realize that just the two of them together do not have what it takes to run down on Maybe Racing. Maybe is now back to slowly opening up the gap on the rest of the field. It's not by a lot. He's not doing it by massive chunks, but he's doing it by about half a tenth a lap or so right now. Scored runs right behind SRD Shredder. He looks to the inside of Shredder as they go into turn number 2. Both cars sliding a little bit wide as they come out too, but they'll keep it off the wall as they go down the back straightaway once again. We are 20 laps into our 57-lap event right now. Real quickly, let's go ahead and look at the fuel and tire wear for the entire field. Maybe Racing, he is 45% still in the tank right now. I look back here at SRD Shredder, who is running in second position. He is with Scored Buffalo. He has 29% left in the fuel tank right now. Look at Scored Buffalo, who is in the 3rd spot on track. He's got 46%. So Scored Buffalo with a heavier car is still keeping up with someone who's got a lot lighter car. Then it looks like Nito has already fallen off pace and he is dumping into the pits. Oh, he's hit the wall somewhere. We've missed it, but somewhere Nito has hit the outside wall. The front of the car is destroyed. He is going to come in and pit. He's not the other one. Pindaz is also pitting farther back there. Now, I don't know if Pindaz had his own issue. Yeah, Pindaz's car is absolutely destroyed. So Nito and Pindaz both have had 2 separate accidents at the exact same time on the track. No sign that we are under a yellow flag, though. It looks like we're still going full speed. So now, our top 5 in the championship coming into this race, except PTG Neb, obviously, are now all in the top 5 positions, but Scored Buffalo seems to have made a mistake. He has now fallen way back. He's now slipped back to 5th position. All of a sudden, everything seems to have gone absolutely wild. Scored Buffalo, he doesn't have any damage, but he has gone from 2nd all the way back to 5th, and now SRD Shredder is running 2nd all by himself. A little bit of contact further back, and now Jack Broseph is going to jump out of turn 4. He'll jump into the pits. He also has completely destroyed the front of his car. So Jack Broseph has hit the outside wall in the final corner. He'll immediately dive it down in the pit lane. We are still not under a yellow flag. All of these incidents that are happening that are damaging cars seem to be single car incidents right now, so there is no incentive to go ahead and throw a yellow flag at the moment. I look at Dino Prime, who runs in 3rd now with Scored Buffalo in 4th. Jack has now pitted on lap 22 out of 57. Could he make a fuel tank last to the end by pitting this early? If there ends up being a yellow, it would be a lot easier, but also he would end up with a massive track position advantage. This little accident might end up working out in Jack's favor. Dino now leads Scored Buffalo. We've seen these two being nose to tail before. If you remember back at Miami, these two were right on top of each other for a good chunk of the race back then, and there wasn't really a whole lot of active fighting. Then just behind them, there is a little bit of traffic in between. That is Pindaz, but you also have NFL Racer just a little bit farther back. If NFL can put together a few good circuits, he can catch right back up and make it a menage a trois for the 3rd position again. But it is Maybe Racing who leads by a 2.5 over SRD Shredder. Both Maybe and Shredder are running completely solo. They have no draft help whatsoever. Is just that duo. For those of you who remember the PTG NASCAR season that we covered about 9-10 months ago, Well, it was a little less than that. It was probably closer to 8 months ago. It was maybe racing an SRD Shredder that dominated the Indianapolis race there in those stock cars. Now, these cars handle a lot differently, but it does seem like the cream has rise to the top. Maybe Racing leads, SRD Shredder in second. The last 2 points paint events that SRD Shredder has run around the Indianapolis Oval, he has won. We have a car that has stopped in turn number 2, and that is Nismo. That car is absolutely destroyed. Everything in the car is completely totaled. I have a feeling that he may have crashed no, that is not a crash coming out of the pits, but whatever has happened, that car is absolutely destroyed. And that now we have a caution as Niesmorf is limping around the circuit now. So we have a caution on lap 24, and this will arrest the pace of the race, and all the strategies are gone. For Jack Broseph, this is fantastic. He's already made a pit stop, assuming he has the fuel to make it to the end. He now will have a track position advantage going forward. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break. And when we come back, we will give you guys a rundown as to what the pit stops are going to look like. We'll return shortly here at Indianapolis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are under a yellow flag for the second time today, just a little bit before the race's halfway point. But Jack Broseph, the first of our championship contenders to pit after a self-inflicted accident, on track coming out of turn number 4, where he hit the outside wall and it totaled the car. He ducked it into the pits. We stayed green. He was just able to stay on the lead lap, and now he is the only person on the lead lap, at least before this yellow came out. Nito was going to be the other one, I think, who might just barely be on the edge of the lead lap, who's also already made a stop. So Jack and Nito are both going to cycle back to the head of this field here. For Jack, will be the first time at the front. For Nito, he's going to be up near the front because we anticipate everyone else in the top 7 will pit under this yellow flag period. Coming out of the final corner, again, we are anticipating the entire field pitting this time. Keen Racing Leo is going to pit. No, Nito is pitting. So Jack is the only one staying out. They'll also go ahead and let Pindaz and Pointy Scroll run around and get a lap back here. All right, now we'll get an idea as to which car ends up being the first coming out of pit lane here. It looks like it's going to be maybe by a significant margin at that. We'll have a better idea once they come through. But Jack Broseph, the only driver on the lead lap, he had not fought his way up to the front on merit, is going to be off of strategy. Now, Jack's going to be on slightly older tires than the most of the rest of the field. However, tires haven't really been too much of an issue throughout most of this series. He's just going to have to try and hold off a bunch of drivers who have been faster than him most of the day. So it looks like it's going to be Maybe Racing, followed by Donald Prime 77, then SRD Shredder, Scored Buffalo, Dito Gamer 05, NFL Racer 4812, Thomas 086R, Keen Racing Leo, and Pindaz. And it looks like that will be the order. Jack Broseph is your leader, and Neesmorph is still trapped a lap down at this stage right now. He is the only driver still a lap down. Pindaz is rushing around to get back onto the lead lap. Point Scroll is pitting right now as well. So, Jack in an interesting position. He is now leading. He's not run this race in clean air with drivers behind him fighting. He's had laps in clean air where he's been completely solo. He's had laps where he's been fighting, but he's not had to do that fine mixture of both. The drivers behind him will be trying to take advantage of the draft. So real quickly, let's go ahead and using the ticker, we'll give you a quick overview of the changes on the grid. Jack Broseph has officially completed a last to first challenge in race. We don't know if he can win doing that, but he has done a last to first run here. Maybe has gone up 7 positions since the start. Dino has gone up 8. Shredder has gone up 6. Scored Buffalo has gone up 3. NFL Racer is the only driver who has stayed steady. Nito has fallen from 1st to 6th. Everyone else who started way up the grid has fallen back. So despite misgivings that I personally have with the car, it does seem like it is not problematic enough that it keeps the cream from rising to the top. Our proper top fastest drivers are still constantly moving right up to the head of these field, even when we have slower people starting ahead of them. So the entire field is going to be pretty much gathered up here as they go through turns 1 and 2 on this lap. So we should see them going green at the start of lap 28. So we will be about halfway through the race exactly. Again, we believe that everyone should have the fuel to make it to the end. I look at Jack, he has 90% left in the tank right now. I look at Maybe Racing, who is just behind. Maybe is at 100, almost 100%. I look at Dino, who runs just behind as well. He is at almost 100%. I look at SRD Shredder, who is in 4th. I imagine just about 100. Yep, just about 100%. Scored Buffalo is hanging out in the 5th position right now. He has just about 100%. And then just for kicks, just for someone else who's not a title contender, Nito, who is in 6th, he is at just about 100%. So Jack has a little bit less fuel than everyone else. His tires have a little bit more wear, but other than that, you're basically even. So Jack may have to do a little bit of fuel save if we have a long green flag run to the end. No guarantee it's going to happen, but if we do, he may, big if, but he may have to do a bit of fuel save near the end of the run here. Everyone else, I anticipate, has the fuel to go to the checkered flag. And we'll be going green on lap 28 out of 57, technically 27 out of 56. So just a little bit before the halfway point of the event, technically. So one half of the race down, one half to go. When does Jack fire the after boosters and we see the field rush off? Well, he waited until the last possible moment, but he's off and he's clear. Inside line had a great launch that time, so Jack will easily clear. Maybe second on the outside line. Well, technically first driver on the outside line. He's going to try the long way around. Briefly tries to pull alongside Jack, but he does not have the speed to do so. Dino and Maybe still stuck side by side for a second position right behind Jack. Now Dino looks to the inside of Jack. Maybe is boxed in. Here comes SRD Shredder. NFL has a big slide coming out of the corner. He's going to lose several positions. They're 3 wide for a lead. Maybe Jack and Dino. Dino backs out of it. He does not want any of that smoke. Jack on the inside, Maybe on the outside. Dino runs right behind. Here comes SRD Shredder. Shredder now comes to the inside of Dino. They're still side by side for a lead as they go into turn number 4 this time. But turn 4 flattens out about halfway through. Maybe's top guard. There are 3 ways they go by Maybe. Maybe goes from 2nd to 4th in a single corner. SRD Shredder is now up into 2nd. He has a run on Jack Broseph, trying to wrap it around the outside. Jack inside. SRD Shredder outside. Can try to complete the overtake before they turn in to turn number 1. No, he can't, but he's going to go deeper into the corner. He'll slide the car in front of Jack. He's done it. Jack backs off significantly in turn 1 just so the car doesn't step out from under him. He's got Scored Buffalo right behind him, and now Dino looks to the inside. Scored Buffalo as they go into turn number 2. Maybe is in 5th position now. These 5 are championship 5, all at the head of this field right now. SRD Shredder leads. Now Jack looks back to the inside. Drag race. That number 18 car is going to complete the overtake on the 10 of SRD Shredder just as they go into turn number 3. Jack immediately slides wide though, and Shredder does the crossover as they go through turn 3. Shredder and Jack make contact coming out of 3, through the short chute, now into turn 4. Jack trapped on the outside, he's gonna back up, but Shredder hits the wall! Shredder's into the outside wall! Shredder has hit the outside wall, the car is still moving, but the machine is absolutely destroyed! And that is gonna knock one of our championship contenders out of the top running! Jack now is under siege from Maybe Racing. Maybe goes to the inside of Jack, bros up. Jack lets him complete the overtake. Nito is still in the middle of this. Nito immediately gives Jack a shove, and then he backs off of Jack. So now it is Maybe Racing and Jack Broso who are starting to scoot away here at the head of the field. Nito is ranked in 3rd position. Scored Buffalo and Dino are fighting for 4th and 5th, and now Nito is really holding up that duo of Scored Buffalo and Dino here. As they go down the back straightaway, now Jack looks to the inside. Maybe he's going to move down and block that move, so Armstrong does not get a chance to get alongside Maybe. There's still going to be no tails to go into Speedway turn 3. Now onto the short chute here. Scored Buffalo has now cleared Nito. He's going to draft, and he's going to try and close back in on those drivers ahead. Nito runs right behind Scored. Dino is 5th in this pack of 5 cars at the very head of the field right now. SRD Shredder, it looks like we'll just barely stay on the lead lap, so if we have a yellow flag, it may not be over for Shredder, but if we stay green to the end, oh, it's going to be a different scenario. Dino gets into it with Nito. He'll complete the overtake, but Dino's car was about 15 degrees sideways through turn number 1, and in the process, Dino has lost all draft with the head trio. So now it is just Maybe, Jack, and Scored in a 3-car breakaway at the head of the field. SRD Shredder was leading, but then got shunted into the outside wall in turn number 4. Then Dino was right in the middle of it, but he got into it with Nito, and now Dino and Nito have lost the draft. So it is now a 3-car breakaway. If we stay green to the end, it will be Maybe, Jack, and Scored. Who is your pick to win between these 3? It could legitimately be any of these 3 drivers. Now we see Scored Buffalo looking at the inside of Jack. He tries to put that left front tire right on the inside curb in turn number 4, trying to get a perfect run through there. They're all still nose to tail. NFL Racer has hit the outside wall coming out of the final corner. He now limps the car into the pit lane. His car is absolutely demolished. Jack has now overtaken Maybe Racing through the draft as they came down to turn number 1. Maybe's going to try the crossover move on him. Side by side between Jack Brosup and Maybe Racing now as they go through turn 2. A big wiggle, a big twitch by Maybe Racing, and that's going to wash Jack up the track. Here comes Scored Buffalo. 3 wide as they go down the back straightaway. Jack on the extreme outside. Maybe Middle Buffalo on the extreme inside. Someone has to back out of it. No one backs out of it. Buffalo completes the overtake on the extreme inside. Jack now falls to 3rd in line out of these 3 cars. So it's now Scored, Maybe, and Jack in that order particularly right now as they go through turns 3 and 4. Now going through turn number 4, a bit of a twitch there, a bit of a lift off by Maybe, and that's going to let Jack get right alongside Maybe for just a moment, but instead he falls behind Maybe. They'll be back to running nose to tail, 1, 2, 3. Dino and Nito have stopped fighting for 4th and 5th position, but they're already a 2.5 seconds behind this trio. Unless these 3 spend a lot of time fighting, they are going to leave Dino and Nito in the dust here. SRD Shredder and NFL Racer have caught each other on the back straightaway. 2 wounded cars. They'll try to run with each other to not go a lap down and hope that there's a yellow later in the event. Now we see, here comes Scored Buffalo. He looks to the inside. Jack fakes going with him, but then he falls back in line with Maybe. Scored Buffalo, he'll complete the overtake on Maybe as they go into turn number 3 now. And he'll slide the car in front of Maybe, and immediately the car slides out wide. Maybe looks to the inside. They'll be side by side again through turn number 4. Scored is trapped on the extreme outside. Scored backs out, trying to get in line behind him, but that oval inexperience is biting Scored Buffalo in the rear. A big twitch. He barely holds on to 2nd position. Jack Joseph runs right behind Scored as they go down the straightaway. Scored has a big run. He pulls up to the inside of Maybe Racing again as they go down to turn number 1. He'll complete the overtake back on Maybe Racing in turn number 1, but immediately Scored Buffalo's car washes out wide as they go into the short chute, and Maybe is back by Scored Buffalo before they even get to turn number 2. Now Scored Buffalo is going to try and set up a crossover move on the exit turn number 2. Maybe's car goes wide. He licks the outside wall coming out to the back straightaway. Scored Buffalo comes back to the inside, side by side again as they go down the back straightaway. Jack's going to go to the extreme outside for a moment. He's trying to go the long way around Maybe. Scored completes the overtake on Maybe. Maybe defends the inside. Jack Brosov is going to hang out there in 3rd position. And finally, the group has a chance to try and calm down into a 3-car order there. Another car limping it into the pits now. Is that Pointy Stroll? Indeed it is. Pointy Stroll, that car is absolutely destroyed as well. He has also totaled the car, hitting the outside wall in turn number 4. Scored Buffalo leads, but here comes Maybe. Side by side again. Maybe inside, Scored outside, neck and neck as they go down into turn number 1. Maybe completes the overtake, no problem. Scored is right there behind Maybe. He falls off just a little bit as they go through the short chute. Now he's going to try and set up again for a run down through turn 2 here. So as all this is going on, remember, Jack has about 10% less fuel than these two drivers. If we stay green to the end, we are not 100% confident of Jack's ability to make it to the checkered flag on this fuel tank. Scored Buffalo tucked up right behind Maybe Racing. Scored and Maybe. These two together make up about 95% of all the championships that you see in the IFEA and FEC ecosystem. These are the two best drivers. Maybe hits the outside wall as they came out of turn number 4. Not enough to damage the car, but slowed his momentum down a lot. Scored goes by on the inside. Maybe goes by, Jack goes by on the inside. Maybe falls back to third, and now Maybe he gets back by, and we are under the yellow flag. The yellow flag comes out here on lap 36, and for drivers like SRD Shredder and NFL Racer, their race is back alive. For Jack Brossup, this is great, because with this yellow, he is basically all but guaranteed to make it to the end on the fuel tank he has. He will not have to worry about saving fuel going forward, and we are back under the yellow once again here at Indianapolis with about 21 laps to go. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break, and when we come back, we'll see if anyone has to jump into the pits for emergency service. They'll throw away valuable track position for better tires or anything like that. We'll return shortly here. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're under our third caution flag of the day. And under this yellow, while several drivers faked coming in, it was two drivers who had crashed earlier, SRD Shredder and NFL Racer, who were already at the back of the lead lap pack. They are going ahead to jump into the pit lane. They're going to put some brand new tires on. They don't need any more fuel. Everyone should have the fuel to the end, but they're putting brand new tires on. So they are betting that having a bit of a tire advantage going to the end will work out for them. I look at Scored Buffalo, who's your leader. He's only at 13.3% on his most worn tire. Look at Jack, who's been out longer than anyone else on the set of rubber. He is at 16.5. I don't know if the tire advantage is really going to help, but the thing is that Shredder and NFL were already the last two drivers on the lead lap. I don't really think that they are in a position where they're going to lose anything by putting on brand new tires. As long as those tires are nice and heated up by the time they get to the start-finish line straight, they should be okay. So when we go green, we're anticipating we're going to go green at the end of this lap, at the end of lap 38, coming on to 39. At least that's why I'm anticipating is going to be the case. I may be wrong. We'll see here. No, it does not look like we're going green this time. So we're going to spend a little bit more time here under the yellow flag. It has been an interesting race, to say the least. We have seen 2 and 3 car packs be the dominant feature for most of the day, and those packs have mainly been made up of our championship contenders. SRD Shredder has been one of them. Jack Broseph, Maybe Racing, Scored Buffalo, Dino Prime 77, and the outsider in the title fight, NFL Racer 4812 as well. The wild card has really been Nito. Nito was not fighting for a legitimate championship contention. He is completely out of the title hunt. But he has been the only driver, not of that big title-contending 5 or 6, if you want to count NFL, that has been able to keep pace with our lead group here. I will encourage you to continue to keep an eye on Nito as this race goes on. Although he has slipped to about 5th position right now, behind 4 of the title contenders. Still, Nito has shown incredible ability to keep pace with the lead group. So they're waiting on last place Niesmorf, who had pitted during his lap to get back on the lead lap to catch back up to the grid. So we should be going green here on lap 40. So we'll be going green with 18 laps to go here at Indianapolis. We'll see him start doubling up down the back straightaway and going into turn 3. Oh, that explains a lot. Look how cold Jack's tires have gotten at this stage of the event. We saw him completely spin himself out there coming out of turn number 2, and he still is dealing with tires. Look at that right front tire. It's down to 130 degrees right now. The left front's down in the 120s. Yeah, cold tires are going to end up having a big impact here. So, Scored Buffalo is going to be your leader on this restart. It looks like maybe is going to be restarting on the outside of front row. Jack's going to be on the inside of row 2. Dino's going to be on the outside of row 2. Then you'll have... It's going to get a little bit more wilder behind them. Again, the interesting things to watch will be NFL Racer and SRD Shredder. If we stay green from now to the end, will their tire advantage work out for them? Will they end up with some sort of advantage over the lead group here? The word that I had heard from everyone is that tires are not something to be worried about today, but that might just not be the case. I'm going to use the point of interest cameras for this restart. And you'll hear them accelerate before you really see them accelerating. And we're off. We'll see them dive in through turns 1 and 2 here. Scored Buffalo and Jack Broseph at the head of the field. What is the strategy right now? Scored is going to move ahead of Jack. Nito's already up in the 3rd position right now, it seems. So Scored leads, Jack runs in 2nd, but it is Nito who has right again shown himself that he may not be title contender, but he has everything it takes to fight with these guys for the victory here. He is running right behind Jack Broseph, right behind Scored Buffalo, and a nose-to-tail train as they go into the following corner, but now he's wide in turn 3. Maybe he's going to get to his inside. Maybe door slams Nito as they go through turn 3, and we'll use that to complete the overtake on Nito. Now Dino pulls up behind Nito this time. Jack is now right behind Scored Buffalo as they come onto the front straightaway once again. NFL Racer has already moved up into the 6th position. Shredder is already up into the 8th position. Side by side between Maybe and Nito. Farther back there. No, that is not Maybe Nito. That is Nito and Dino side by side for 4th. We saw those two get into it earlier and they lost a huge chunk of time in the process. It looks like we may be seeing a repeat. Dino just does not seem to have the ability to clear his way by Nito like the other 3 here do. Scored Buffalo, Jack Broseph, Maybe Racing, leading now in a 3-car breakaway all over again. Jack Broseph in 2nd. Is he going to make a move on Scored this time? It does not look like he is. I think that these 3 are trying to make another 3-car breakaway on the rest of the field. SRD Shredder has now moved his way up into the 6th position, so he is making some use of those tires. Nito still runs in 4th. Dino is still in 5th. Those 2 are just barely close enough right now to still get a draft off of our lead trio. So it's not down to a 3-car pack yet. Nito is just barely holding on to the tail end of that lead trio fight. And he is dragging Dino with him. Maybe he's actually dropped off from Jack and Scored a little bit. just about nose to tail, but the gaps in front and behind third place are pretty wide. Dino has a bad run through that corner that time, though. He hits the outside wall as they come through turns 1 and 2. He will completely all by himself lose touch at the top 4, a completely self-inflicted mistake. He's lost the draft to the lead 4 now. And immediately he's going to put Dino under threat from SRD Shredder. And now, with Dino out of contention, the top 3 realize they can start fighting. Now we see Jack goes to the inside, scored Buffalo. He'll clear scored Buffalo. Maybe Racing is still running right behind. Nito is just about falling off the draft. He has. Nito has lost the draft for the top 3 now. So now, once again, is Jack, Scored, and Baby. This trio had pulled away from the field earlier. And it seems like Nito and Dino just are not quite as clean as that trio is. These 3 are leading. Once again, Nito still hanging out in 4th, but he has lost the draft. Thomas ducking into the pits. He has pounded the outside wall in turn 4. He has to stop for emergency repairs. Top 3 all still nose to tail as they go through turn number 1. Jack is wide, though, in the middle of turn 1. Scored Buffalo looks to the inside, and Scored, who is not traditionally an oval driver, he's been having a trial by fire moment. And while we still see him making mistakes and still see him making moves that no experienced oval driver would make, he is really showing that he has pure skill. What he doesn't have in textbook knowledge, he is trying to rely on muscle and reflexes to get him through, and it has kept him in the middle of this top 3 fight throughout the day today. Now it is maybe to the inside Jack Grosef going through turns 3. They're still side by side. Jack hits the outside wall. He comes down, bounces into maybe through the short shoe. Now through turn 4, Jack trapped on the outside line as it flats out. Has to fall back into 2nd position. Maybe takes the lead over Jack, and has scored Buffalo in 3rd position. SRD Shredder has now moved up into the 5th spot. He is going to try and run down on Nito. Another driver very nearly hits the pit lane entry farther back there. I believe that was King Racing Leo, but he should be able to continue for now. Maybe is wide in turn number 1. Jack looks to his inside. Maybe hits the outside wall. Jack hits him back. Now Jack and Scored both clear Maybe this time at the head of the field. Now we see Scored Buffalo pull up behind Jack once again. Now Scored looks to the inside of Jack. Now he's going to fall back in line. Now he looks back to the inside. He falls back in line. They're still all nose to tail as they finally go down into turn number 3 this time. They all take slightly different lines, all trying to get some sort of clean air over the nose of the car just to give the front of the car something to grab onto through these 2 technical corners. Now through turn 4, they're all still nose to tail through here, but Scored is a little bit tighter through the line that time, and now we see Scored looks to the inside. Now fall back in line behind Jack Brosef. Nito has fallen 1.5 seconds off of the top 3, and he is now fine with Dino and SRD Shredder. So it looks like, unless another yellow flag happens, and even then Nito has been the wild card that's really kind of screwed over Dino most of the day, but it looks like even if we get yellows, it's going to be a 3-way fight between Jack, Scored, and Maybe. And not only will it be a 3-way fight for the lead here, it will likely be just these 3 drivers fighting for the championship going down to Daytona unless something catastrophic changes here. Down the back straightaway once again, Scored still right behind Jack. He gives Jack a little bit of a push down the straightaway. I feel like these 3 are just trying to not waste too much time fighting with each other. They don't want to give SRD Shredder or Dino any chance at running down on them, but really I don't think they have to worry about it. Nito is just fighting for any kind of good result here. He is not willing to let these 2 by in any scenario. And that's going to be the big wild card here. Now here comes Scored. He's going to come to the inside of Jack Brosef, side by side for a lead as they go down the straightaway. Once again, it seems like this top 3 seems to think, okay, we're good. We've lost Shredder and Dino, and they immediately start going back to racing. But if they start losing too much time, we'll likely see, oh, and Scored and Jack both hit the outside wall going to turn number 1. Maybe he's going to try and rip right around the extreme outside going to turn number 2. He'll use that get by Jack. He's still side by side with Scored, and Jack's going to lose the draft. Jack is going to lose the draft on Maybe and Scored Buffalo. All of a sudden, situations change again. SRD Shredder has now moved up into the 4th position. He's got a big run on Jack. He's going to clear Jack. Jack is limping around. Is that car damaged? Yes, Jack, when he hit that outside wall, it totaled the car. The aerodynamics on Jack Brosef's car is destroyed. And Jack, who has been the favorite for the championship basically since the green flag fell at the first race of the season, is going to have to pit with about 11 laps to go here at Indianapolis. Now it is Maybe Racing and Scored Buffalo at the head of the field. These 2, I've said this before, I'll say it again, these 2 basically dominate the IFEA and FEC ecosystem. They win nearly every single championship that is run in this series, and now they are the 2 fighting for the win here. And if this continues to go the way it is, it looks like it will be this duo fighting for the championship going down to Daytona. Maybe gives Scored a little bit of a push through turn number 2, trying to put him out wide, but now they go back to being now not drag racing, but bumper to bumper down the back straightaway, coming down to turn number 3. Maybe is not really making any effort to fight with Scored. He wants to just keep it just himself and Scored. They do not want to deal with spoilers in the form of SRD Shredder or Dino, who are both about 1 3/4 to 2 seconds off of our top 2 right now. Maybe looks to the inside to Scored Buffalo through turn number 4, but is not able to commit to it, not until they come onto the straightaway. Now our top two are back. They are drag racing down the front straightaway. Maybe inside. Scored Buffalo on the outside. Side by side as they go into turn number 1. Scored backs off nice and early. Let's maybe have the line as they go into turn number 1 this time. And both of them will have a nice clean run there through the short shoot of 1 and 2. Scored pulls up right behind Maybe. Now he's the one who gives Maybe a little bit of a shove as they go into turn number 2. Maybe's just a little bit higher up the track than Scores as they come onto the back straightaway. They go back to being in nose to tail formation down the straightaway. And as they're doing this, they are now starting to pull away on the rest of the field. It is SRD Shredder and Dino Prime 77 running in 3rd and 4th. Nito has lost touch with them. He is way out on his own in 5th. And then you have Pointy Scroll and NFL Racer there at 6th and 7th. Neesmorph is way back there in 8th, fighting with Pindaz for the 8th and 9th position. King Racing Leo is 18 seconds off the lead. Then you have Jack, Broseph, and Thomas, who have both injured their cars. They are still just barely on the lead lap right now, although at the rate is going, Maybe and Scored may catch Thomas before this is over. As they go down into turn number 1, it is Maybe Racing leading Scored Buffalo. This is the big thing between these two. Traditionally, Scored Buffalo is the faster driver. Maybe wins a lot of his championships off the back of sheer attendance. In this ecosystem of IFEA and FEC, it is typically Maybe Racing, Scored Buffalo, and Claiming Racer who win about 95% of the races. Claiming Racer has the worst attendance out of the 3. Scored Buffalo has middling attendance. Maybe has maximum attendance. But when it comes to sheer pace, typically it is Claiming who is faster than the other two. And Scored typically has a speed advantage over Maybe. But Maybe has a advantage in knowledge on how to do ovals. He has been driving ovals in this game and other games for years. Scored Buffalo typically does not do oval racing. Scored is the inexperienced rookie fighting Maybe on a turf that he's familiar with. They are side by side as they go across the start-finish line again. 8 laps to go. Scored is going to clear Maybe Racing as they get down into turn 1, and both of them will clear Thomas without too much issue. Thomas actually ends up running really high up the track in turn 1 as he tried to let that lead group by. How much of a problem is Thomas going to end up being for the likes of Shredder and Dino? Well, it's not going to matter because Maybe and Scored have now pulled up 2.5 seconds on Shredder and Dino. So this championship is basically over for anyone who is not Scored Buffalo or Maybe Racing right now. Scored to the inside of Maybe. No, I mean, Scored to the outside of Maybe. Scored's going to back out as they go into turn number 3. Maybe goes back into the lead. Scored pulls up behind Maybe once again. Now they fire it down to turn number 4. And as this race continues, Scored continues to learn more and more. But is he going to learn enough to be able to make something happen against Maybe in these final laps here? Big hit on the outside wall as Thomas back there coming out of turn number 4. But he stays out on track for just a little bit longer. But I think he might end up causing a big problem for Shredder and Dino further back there. As those two are now fighting, as they know there is no chance that they will have of running down Maybe or Scored. Maybe continues to lead over Scored Buffalo. What is Scored's strategy? Going into this race, Scored was kind of, well, not a real outsider, but he's set multiple points behind Maybe. Maybe is 1 point out of the lead coming into the event. Scored was a bit more than a handful behind Maybe. As they finish right now, it would give Maybe a commanding lead in the championship going into the season finale at Daytona. If Scored wants to seriously make a shot at this, he needs to get alongside Maybe and clear Maybe just so he can try and negate that gap between the two of them a bit. Maybe is wide going through turn 4. Maybe hits the outside wall. Scored shoots to the extreme inside. Side by side as they go down the front straightaway. Scored will complete the overtake on Maybe this time by. And now this duo is 3 seconds ahead of 3rd and 4th place right now. Shredder and Dino are completely out of this race. They are completely out of this championship. This fight right here is likely going to be the fight that sets the stage for the championship going to Daytona next week. Scored is now the one leading Maybe with 6 laps to go right now as they come onto the back straightaway once again. Not quite nose to tail. Maybe has a big draft though. He'll use that to close in on Scored. Will try and close right up behind that number 31. These two are fast enough. They can get really aggressive as long as they're not shoving each other into the walls. They do not have to worry about the drivers in 3rd and 4th catching them right now. Scored has a big wiggle coming out of turn number 3. Maybe is still running just a little bit behind them. There's about 2.25 car lengths between the two of them as they come out of turn number 4 and onto the front straightaway again now. Now as they come across the line, it will be 5 laps to go. This time, SRG Shredder has cut the gap down to just under 3 seconds, but with only 5 laps to go, there's just not going to be enough time for him to run down this duo unless they start really door banging or banging off of walls. Scored is wide through turn 1. Maybe shoots to his inside. Maybe's going to complete the overtake going into turn number 2 this time. Scored's not going to try and set up a crossover on corner exit, but he doesn't have the momentum. Scored goes back in line behind Maybe. It's nose to tail again down the back straightaway. Now Scored looks back to the inside of Maybe. Now he falls back in line behind Maybe. Still nose to tail as they fire it off down to turn 3 again. Now still nose to tail. Scored gives maybe just a little bit of a shove as they go into the second to last corner. The short shoot between turns 3 and 4. Maybe still leads Scored. They're both going to take nice predictable lines, although Scored is just a little bit wider than Maybe's through there. Maybe hits the outside wall again as they come out of turn number 4. And again, this gives Scored Buffalo a fantastic run down the straightaway. Scored to the inside, maybe to the outside. Scored will complete the overtake on Maybe again. It is now 4 laps to go. Going into turn number 1, Scored leads. Maybe looks to his inside. Maybe is the one with the really aggressive inside line this time. Scored licks the outside wall as they come out. Turn number 1. Now Maybe looks back to his inside. Cannot get alongside him. Not that time. Now onto the back straightaway again. Scored still leads. Maybe runs right behind. Scored moves down about 2 lanes. Now only 1 lane. Now back to the normal outside line, so he can have a nice wide entry going into turn number 3. He leaves about half a lane open, but Maybe is not able to take advantage of it. Maybe is stuck in Scored's tire tracks right now. Scored very nearly washes out into the short chute there. Now we see them go through turn 4 again. Scored leads. He does not hit the wall. Maybe continues to run right behind Scored Buffalo, just about nose to tail. Scored Buffalo won last week's race at Eagle Rock, but you could say, oh, well, he only got that because the fastest driver, Jack Grossa, flagged out. Well, Scored is trying to say that that wasn't a fluke. They doesn't need someone else to lag out to take a win. We have had no lag outs thus far today, and Scored is legitimately fighting for this win here in the closing moments. Scored Buffalo still keeping Maybe behind him. It is 3 laps to go. Now about 2.5 laps as they come onto the back straightaway this time. They are still 3 seconds ahead of third place. There is no one else who is going to factor into this. It is just going to be Scored and Maybe, the 2 dominant factors in the IFEA and FEC ecosystem, fighting for this to the end. Maybe is running right behind Scored. Maybe has years of extra oval racing experience over Scored Buffalo, but is that going to be enough to give him a shot around Scored's sheer pace advantage and capability advantage? On to the front straightaway once again. They are nose to tail as they come to the line. It will be 2 laps to go. We will know who will win this race in about 5 miles time. Scored continues to lead Maybe. Maybe continues to run right behind Scored. Scored slides out just a little bit in turn number 1, but he's not going to get offline by that much. There's still nose to tail, no issue. Neither of them hit the wall in the short chute that time, but the gap's open just a little bit this time between Scored Buffalo and Maybe Racing. The gap is now about a car length and a quarter, now about a car length and a half. They come onto the back straightaway again. The draft is going to let Maybe get a huge run. He's going to pull right up behind Scored Buffalo again. Does he try and make a big dive bomb move going into turn 3? No, he does not, but he stays right behind Scored Buffalo as they go through turn number 3. Scored washes out just a little bit high. He's going to back off the throttle a bit so he doesn't hit the outside wall. Maybe it's still right there behind Scored. He catches the worst of the arrow wake of Scored as they go through turn number 4. He falls off of Scored just a little bit. They're going to be almost nose to tail as they go down the front straightaway. White flag in the air this time by. 1 lap left here at Indianapolis. Does Maybe have anything for Scored? Does he have anything for his years of extra experience? Or Scored with a sheer pace and capability advantage going to outdrive Maybe Racing? Maybe comes to the inside between turns 1 and 2. There's a big touch. Scored sideways. They make door-to-door contact in turn number 2. Scored is sideways again. He falls off. He's going to fall behind Maybe Racing. Maybe struck going to turns 1 and 2. Scored now runs behind Maybe. Maybe defends the extreme inside line as they go down the back straightaway. Scored has a big draft as he's trying to close back in on Maybe through turns 3 and 4 for the final time today. What can Scored do to Maybe? He pulls up behind him. There's about 3/4 of a car length between them through the short chute for the final time. Now into turn 4. Scored's gonna go deep to the inside. Maybe's gonna come down, block him. Scored's gonna hit the grass. He's gonna go wide. They'll both keep off the wall. Scored has to run to the inside. Maybe outside. It's gonna be a drag race. It's gonna be the start finish line. Who's gonna be at the line? Is it gonna be Scored? It is! Scored Buffalo. No, it's not. Or maybe it was a dead heat at the line. It was impossible to tell. The ticker said at first it Scored ahead, but now after they both crossed the line, it says that's Maybe who's won by 41 thousandths of a second. It was a dead heat at the head of the field here, and we do not know who won between these two. SRD Shredder will come home in 3rd position. Dino Prime 77 will come home in 4th. NFL Racer will come home in 5th. He is, for all intents and purposes, eliminated from championship contention. Same with Knees Morph, who will come home in 6th. Nito Gamer will come home in the 7th spot. And King Racing Leo will come home in 8th. And Pindaz is going to be all the way back here, finishing it up in 9th position. And 10th place, Jack Broseph, one of the drivers who was tied at the head of the field Coming into this race, he is now going to be the long shot chance. The favorite for the championship all season long is now going to be the outside chance coming to the finish here. Pointy Scroll is going to come home 11th, and Thomas 086R will be 12th. We're going to take a Twitch-mandated ad break, and when we come back, hopefully we will get some word on who actually won that fight there between Maybe Racing and Scored Buffalo here at Indianapolis. All right, well, that's maybe. Let me try and get scored again here. All right, there we are. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Our race is over, but we do not have any idea officially who won at the final here. We have both of our top two finishers, Maybe Racing and Scored Buffalo, in the party right now. Both of you go ahead, include your audio in the Xbox party. Well, regardless of who wins, it looks like with this win, it's going to be just the two of you seriously contending for the championship again, going to the season finale. Before we get word on who wins the race, what in the world is letting you two be the one who win about 80% of the races in the FEC and IFEA ecosystem?
Good, Scored.
I don't really know. I just show up and drive. That's really it.
Do you drive 2011?
No.
Do.
Oh my god.
Scored by a nose.
I just kind of just show up to the race and have fun, but but to be able to win a lot of these, I really like that. So, coming here today, I didn't think I was gonna win at all. To be honest, I was figuring out how to drive the car through mostly turns 1 and 2, because it just seems like everybody else could get a better run on the back straight, but. With how the final few laps turned out, I'm really happy with the result.
All right, what about you, Maybe? What is it that enables you, along with Scored, to win so many of the races in this IFEA and FEC ecosystem?
I think it comes down to a little bit of the old Shane Van Gisbergen and Scott McLaughlin. We've raced each other now for, going on 8 years. We know how each other race. We've fed off of each other and gotten better off of each other. From that point, we've basically gotten to where we are, and we know how to race each other very well, and usually we don't wreck each other. Usually.
All right.
True.
Okay. All right, so go ahead. We'll set the stage here. Maybe you have done a lot of oval racing, not just here, but in many, many other series. Scored, you're not really much of an oval racer. Now, typically, in events outside of this ecosystem, Scored, your pace is way above Maybe's. But Maybe had an advantage over you in experience. You seem to have the advantage in pace. In the end, how much of that pace discrepancy do you think hurt you, Maybe? And Scored, how much of that experience discrepancy on ovals hurt you?
You want to go ahead, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it's Scored. He's fast and everything. You could pick something up and he'll be fast. Know how he does it, but glad to have raced him for it.
Well, Scored, do you feel that your lack of experience on ovals, you've only ran a handful of ovals before this season started, do you feel your lack of experience on ovals hurt you at all today?
I think in terms of like my consistency and just trying to keep the car away from the walls, yeah. Because I don't know if you caught it, but I did spin at one point. That's because of I tapped the outside wall in turn 1, and I after that point, if there was no caution, I would have just lost it there. So I mean, it's something I need to work on, but definitely could be better. I'll say that.
Well, it was quite a run to the end, and it looks like we may have some video footage, at least available, of the finish right now. I'm trying to give it a quick look over and check right now to get an idea as to who exactly actually got the victory here. So we'll get you the preliminary results of who actually won the event. So now the big question is, though, Daytona is next week. Daytona is a little bit of a lottery, arguably the biggest lottery. What is your guys' strategy going into that high bank 2.5 mile oval for the championship fight?
Pretty much don't die for me. It's staying out of trouble, staying in the race, and really staying somewhere up front. I usually like to be second most of the race, if you haven't noticed.
I don't.
Yeah, it's pretty much sitting there, staying up front.
Yeah. What about you, Scored? What's your strategy going into Daytona?
I don't really have one. The last time I raced the oval on Daytona was back on FM7. So it's been a minute. So I'll probably see if I could do something. But for now, I'm just trying to not get into too many wrecks or accidents, and just kind of just drive my race and figure things out, and hopefully go towards the front.
All right, well, looking at the video footage, it seems like it was you, Scored Buffalo, who has won back-to-back events. So incredible comeback. You missed the first race of the season, and you're potentially the championship leader going into the finale. Scored, that is one heck of a comeback. If you can win a championship in a 5-race season after missing one of the races, mind you, there's no drop rounds or anything like that, that would be incredible. That is the kind of thing you never, ever hear in anything. So we're definitely going to be watching your race at Daytona with great interest. And maybe same to you as well. You have won several of the last championships under the FEC banner. We'll be watching your run with great interest as well.
It'll be interesting. It couldn't be a better group to race against, though, for the championship, so I'm glad for that.
All right. Well, if either of you two have anything else you want to say, feel free to spill it. Otherwise, you can go ahead and back out.
I think that's all I've got. Thank you for the race. Thank you for the stream.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was our word from our winner, Scored Buffalo, and our second place finisher, Maybe Racing. Again, we are anticipating that is the final result at the head of the field here at Indianapolis. Now I want to go ahead and see if we can talk with our third place finisher, SRD Shredder. Shredder, are you able to hear me? All right, go ahead, include your audio in the Xbox party. You went from the back to the front real quickly, but it just seemed like you did not have the pace of Maybe or Scored after that mid-race yellow, had some accidents, had to fight your way back through the field. Is there anything you feel you could have done different to get a better result today?
I mean, I did have the pace. I was catching consistently. Like when I had the long green flag runs, I would be able to run down the leaders, but I just kept getting motherfucked by the annoying stutter that I've got. So anytime that I'd be catching, I just get pace deleted instantly by a crash that didn't happen. just getting turned by the car that's about 15 miles behind me because the game decides to. So, because the final caution, me and Dina we had our pace to catch, but the amount of times that I just got like ruined by the game just decided to freeze me in place and sending me off to the corners because it thought Dina hit me. We couldn't do anything in the end.
If you were up there at the end, do you think you could have actually done anything to beat the two of them?
I mean, from early in the race, I could sort of pull inside line maneuvers that not a lot of other people could have done. So if it was maybe final corner, they'd be fighting, I could do the inside slingshot and then just use the draft to get past them. No, that could have been there. But the side drafting was also pretty strong, so even if they get alongside, they could have got me back. So can't really say whether I would have gotten or not.
All right. Well, you should still mathematically be in the championship fight going down to Daytona next week. We know that you're competent at Daytona. Do you have a strategy to try and win this championship from behind going into that race?
I mean, it's Daytona. It's the luck race. It's whoever doesn't get like screwed over the most. Everyone's on pretty much an even playing field. It's just everyone around everyone else. The biggest enemy isn't the track, it's everyone else at Daytona. So you gotta look out and pray and hope my game can, withstand itself for more than 3 seconds.
Fair point. All right, one more thing I do want to talk about real quickly. We've been covering on this channel both the PPRL NASCAR Championship and the FEC IROC Championship. 4 races in both series. In this series, while your results haven't been quite as incredible, you've still been repeatedly coming home in roughly top 5 positions all season long. In that series, you've been coming home top 2 every single race. How in the world are you pulling off this ridiculous consistency? While most of these races have been on ovals, granted, how are you pulling off this ridiculous consistency and finishing very high in these races? You've not been crashed out last lap or anything like that. You've not had disconnect. How in the world have you pulled off this ridiculous top finishing result?
I mean, I'm just putting the Greg Moore of just doing 110% effort like, as much as I can. And I'm not the most consistent person, I'm not going the most pace, but I can try as much as anyone out there and just, wedge myself into a result that I probably don't deserve to get.
All right, well, it seems to be working for you, and the good news is we don't have any high-speed 2-mile ovals for you to break your hand at to end that run. So we'll be looking forward to what you can try to do to win this championship from behind next week at Daytona. But with that in mind, that'll pretty much wrap up our broadcast here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Back-to-back wins by Scored Buffalo is going to take a man who missed the season opening race and put him right in the thick of the championship hump, arguably the favorite going into the last race. Join us in a week's time at the High Banks of Daytona. But until next time, I've been your host, Insane Leader 13. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Farewell and goodbye, everyone.